Hi everyone, good to see you on my channel today. Today I will tell you a wonderful story. It is full of love and kindness. I hope you enjoy it and I wish you an enjoyable viewing experience. Thank you. It was only towards evening when the weather cleared. On the bank of the river, right on the freshly cut hay, sat a couple of lovers. Victoria rested her head on her young man's shoulder and looked thoughtfully at the clouds flying by. In a few days, their wedding would take place. The preparations are almost over, and only an endless and very happy married life lies ahead. "I'm so glad I met you," Spencer said. "I can't imagine how I would have lived with another girl." That's what I was thinking too. If I hadn't met you, I never would have decided to get married. I feel like we're soulmates. I've never felt that way about anyone before. Spencer hugged his beloved and reached into his pocket. "I have something for you." He took out a gold pendant on a chain and hung it around the girl's neck. "My God, it's beautiful. Why did you spend so much money? It must have cost a fortune." "It's a family heirloom. My mother inherited it from my grandmother. And now I have to give this pendant to you as a sign that you will soon join our family. Do you like it?" "Of course I like it." "It's shaped like a heart to remind me of our love." They kissed. The sun had almost disappeared over the horizon. "I have to go. I completely forgot that I might miss my bus, so stay the night at my place." "I can't. It's bad luck before the wedding. Moreover, my mother is waiting for me at home and will be worried if I don't come." "Call her. Tell her you've decided to stay. Please. I'd really like to spend some time with you. It's gonna be a while. You'll spend the rest of your life with me." Victoria laughed and pulled the young man to help him up. "Will you walk me to the bus stop?" "Okay, you're right. The most interesting thing should be left for the wedding night." He put his arm around Victoria and chuckled. A long, winding path stretched across the field from the riverbank to the nearest road. The two lovers walked leisurely, holding hands and hugging each other's shoulders. Victoria thought that she had never experienced anything like this in her entire life. Only now was she finally sure of the man next to her. Spencer was a simple working man, living in a small town and barely making ends meet. Victoria had never before imagined how everyday comforts and financial well-being paled in comparison to true love. The girl herself lived in a small town a few miles from New York, and her young man's town was even farther away. At first, all of Victoria's aspirations were for New York. She dreamed of finding a rich and successful young man, living with him in a nice apartment downtown and not worrying about anything. However, as soon as she met Spencer, all her plans immediately collapsed. He was so charming that she wanted to listen to him endlessly. Every night when they had to part to go home, she was sad and could not wait for the next meeting. When the lovers came to the bus stop at the same time, the bus, on which the girl was supposed to go home, arrived. "I'm going to miss you so much. I can't wait for you to be declared my wife." Spencer hugged Victoria gently. "We will see each other very soon. I love you, and I can't wait either." The bus driver began to hurry the lovers along. Victoria came to her senses and jumped in quickly. It was a warm summer day. Catherine sat on the balcony with a cup of coffee and smoked, watching the scandal in the yard. Everyone in their small town knew each other, and she could even see from the 8th floor that the conflict was between her neighbor and the man from the first entryway. Catherine liked to peep into other people's lives, so it was annoying that she couldn't hear all the words the aggrieved old woman was throwing at her opponent. Victoria, too, went out on the balcony with a cup of coffee and sat down on a stool nearby. "Good morning, Mother," said the girl. "Quiet. I can't hear anything anyway." "Peeping at your neighbors again?" "How could I peep if they went outside to discuss their business? If they had argued in their apartment, that would have been a private scandal." "You're probably right. I have so much on my mind right now that I don't have time to argue." "Have you got everything ready?" Mother asked gruffly. I don't think I've forgotten anything." "You forgot to find a normal man," Catherine said, and let the smoke out of her mouth. Mom, are you doing it again? Yes, again. You are my only daughter, and I pity to give you up to some man from the village. But we love each other. What are you talking about? What love? Very ordinary. Besides, he's a good man. He has very nice parents. I don't understand why you're unhappy. Wow, she doesn't understand. So let me explain it to you. Catherine extinguished the cigarette butt in the ashtray and turned to her daughter. I don't like the fact that he lives in some stable, that he has a job now and then he doesn't. And I don't like the fact that you left your normal fiancé for him. You're bringing it up again because it's my pain. I still remember Austin. I'm so hurt that it didn't work out between you and him. Spencer had nothing to do with it. Well, of course, I saw the way you came in after your dates, all glowing. But if I were you, I'd go with Austin. You're not in my shoes. Mom, I'm 20 years old now. Can I make my own decisions about my personal life? No, you can't. I don't approve of your marriage, period. What difference does it make where he lives? There's a big difference. You're so young, you don't know anything about life. I've been slumming with all kinds of drunks over the years. Your mother wouldn't give you any bad advice. I don't need your advice. It's already been decided. You don't think we're going to call off the wedding just because you asked. Victoria was beginning to lose patience. I wish I could, her mother shouted at her. That's not going to happen. And you will have to accept the fact that after the wedding, I will go to live in my husband's house. What? You're going to move in with him in that barn? They have a nice, big house. Victoria rolled her eyes. The girl could not understand how she could have been born to such a mercenary mother. After all, she herself had never put wealth before family happiness and love. I thought you were going to move to New York and rent an apartment together. He has elderly parents and he has a job on a farm. What's his job? Digging potatoes and milking cows. Oh, why talk to you if you're going to take your side anyway? Victoria finished her coffee and got up. The conflict in the street was over, and the neighbors separated. Victoria, maybe you could make up with Austin after all. They have a villa in Palm Beach. He has his own car. I don't even want to hear about it. I would never tie my fate to a man like Austin. I'd appreciate it if you'd give me at least a little support before I got married. Victoria returned to the room and began examining her wedding dress. It was a modest white dress, the most she and Spencer could afford on their small salaries. The groom's parents helped organize the feast. Victoria's mother had promised to give them a good sum of money for the wedding, which they were very much counting on to start their married life. I'm not going to Palm Beach, said Catherine, coming into the room from the balcony. Why not? Where's the money coming from now? Your Spencer can't take me to Palm Beach. He's probably living paycheck to paycheck. When you raise a child alone, you give your best to him. You think that in your old age, the child will appreciate it and give you back 100 times over. But the kid grows up, and he's in love, you see. I wanted to buy a new kitchen. Already dreamed we'd get a car someday. We can do it all on our own. Victoria hung her veil on the coat rack and put her white shoes next to it. Because we have to work, not try to live off others. Talk to me some more here. I know why you're angry. You didn't love Dad, and you only lived with him because of me. I really appreciate everything you gave me as a child, but you didn't have to make such sacrifices for me. You are a very beautiful woman. You must have had many admirers. Maybe some of them you really loved. If you lived your whole life with a man you didn't love, and then divorced him when he started drinking, that doesn't mean I have to live my life the same way. I was lucky enough to find true happiness. So happy for me. Let's see how much love you have and how fast you can get away from this farm. Catherine snickered and left the room. The whole town celebrated Victoria and Spencer's wedding. A huge table was set up outside the newlyweds' house for everyone to come and drink to the young couple's health. Victoria in her white dress was beautiful. The groom couldn't take his eyes off her. "I'm so happy," she said in Spencer's ear. "You are the most beautiful girl today. Just today. You're always beautiful, but today especially." The guests saw the young ones seated next to each other. The glasses clinked insistently. Victoria was embarrassed, and Spencer turned her face affectionately to him and kissed her to the delight of his guests. I'd like to propose a toast." Spencer's father raised his glass. "Your daddy's had a lot to drink already," laughed Victoria. "That's okay. Today it's okay. You don't know how long he's been waiting for the day I got married. He probably wanted it even more than my mother did." "To the young people's health," the man said, struggling to his feet. "May they have everything they dreamed of so that a book could be written about their life together." The guests laughed, raised their glasses, and drank to the young people as well. The house turned on music and dancing began. "Allow me to join you in your feast." A lady in her 50s, dressed in a creamy peplum suit with a very expensive purse in her hands, came to the table. "Who the hell is that?" the guests began to whisper. "Probably a city businesswoman," said Spencer's father, scrutinizing the stranger. "You don't wear that in our part of the world." "God, what is she doing here?" Victoria suddenly exclaimed when she noticed the woman. "Do you know her?" Spencer asked. "Yes, this is my ex-boyfriend's mother, Maria." "What is she doing here?" "I hope she's not here to cause a scandal," Victoria said uncertainly. She knew Maria well enough, and she always behaved calmly and correctly. "Can we turn off the music for a minute?" the woman asked loudly. "We're having a party here," Spencer's father answered her rudely. "And I, too, would like to make a toast to the young ones," Maria said. And with a poorly concealed expression of squeamishness on her face, she took a simple glass. That's another thing. "Turn off the music," someone shouted from among the guests, and the music died down. Everyone turned to the strange woman. She was obviously enjoying the attention and was in no hurry to speak. Victoria sat huddled against her husband and waited to see what would happen next. "My dear Victoria," her mother-in-law, who is not her mother-in-law, "on this beautiful day, I want to wish you a long married life with this man, whose name, unfortunately, I do not know. It's a pity he didn't even find decent clothes for the wedding. You could have changed into something he hadn't already cleaned the pigsties in." "Did you come here to insult our young ones?" Spencer's father interceded. But the woman only grinned and continued her speech. "Victoria had every chance of a good, decent life, but she chose this ragamuffin over my son. Aren't you ashamed of putting on a white dress? I heard what you were doing with my son in his room." Victoria lowered her eyes and blushed. Spencer looked at her in surprise, but then took her hand and nodded understandingly. "Of course, it's better to live here in the filth than with my son," Maria persisted. "I think you found the right place for yourself. You wouldn't have made a decent one anyway. As you know, I didn't come here to be happy for you. I'm asking you to give me back the gift my son gave you when you met him." "But I don't wear that ring," Victoria answered quietly. "As soon as we broke up, I took it off right away, and it's at home in a box." "That's what I thought," Maria said. And in a gulp, she drank the alcohol from the glass. "You probably already sold it. Honestly, it's at home." "All right, judging by your new family, you really need the money. I'm done. You can play your music." The guests stood dumbfounded. No one dared to chase away the unlawful guest, and everyone was looking at Victoria. "One thing I can't understand is why you left my son for this man," Maria asked under the influence of alcohol and approached Victoria. "He's nothing at all." "Please don't," the girl whispered. "But you tell me why my son isn't good enough. He's a good man. But it so happened that we had to break up." "Yeah, how did that happen?" "He cheated on me with the maid," Victoria said. The whole wedding party gasped, and my ex-mother-in-law rounded her eyes and didn't know what to say. "Yeah, I didn't want to tell you, but I caught him with Nancy. Remember that girl who used to clean your house? It can't be. My son and with servants. She's not a bad girl. but it was very unpleasant for me. I didn't know if I should tell anyone. So he and I just decided to break up. Now you know, everyone, please leave. Under the silent glances of the guests, Maria went to the table again and drank more wine. Oh my! And she looks like a decent woman, said some old woman and laughed angrily. Go on, get out of here and teach your son a lesson, someone shouted from inside the house. Excuse me, Maria, without losing her dignity. Put some bills on the table. Congratulations. The guests looked after the departing city beauty. She was sinking her heels deep into the lawn, but she paid no attention to this and continued walking with a proud posture. Maria returned home dejected. Son, you're home. Hi, Mom. You're home early today. Is everything okay at work? Her son came out of his room. It's okay at work. You look sad. Just a flashback, Maria said, and looked thoughtfully at her son. What memories? Did you remember something bad? It's hard to say. You remember when you met that girl, Vera? It was a long time ago. It's only been 3 months since you broke up. It hasn't been that long. I've forgotten all about her since then. Why did you suddenly remember? I wanted to talk to you about her. His mother followed him and sat down next to him. I don't like to remember all this. Who wants to talk about their exes, especially with his mother? And I thought we had such a relationship that we could talk about anything. Yes, it is. Then tell me, why did you break up with her? The woman looked intently into her son's face to see if he would lie. It's a very long story. Austin stared at the computer screen. I want to talk about it. Understand, I need to know. Why do you suddenly need to know about it now? For 3 months you didn't care about her. Something happened. Did you break up because you did something bad? Look me in the eye. I didn't do anything wrong. Why do you suspect me of something? Maybe she did it. So I want to know which one of you was to blame for the breakup. What did she do that made you decide to break up with her? She started going through my phone. She stopped trusting me. Did she have a reason? Mom, let me sit quietly at the computer. Austin was about to put on his headphones, but his mother abruptly turned his chair toward her. Admit it, did you cheat on her? Mom, it's none of your business. Yes or no? Well, it happened, but I'm still a man. I was bored with the routine, so it's your fault you broke up. I told you it was my fault. And her, with whom you cheated on her? Maria asked, trying to remain calm. With an acquaintance. What's her name? Why do I have to pull everything out of you like a pincer? You know I'm not leaving until you tell me everything. Her name is Nancy. Happy? Nancy. Is she the one who comes to our house to clean? How do you know that? Austin was taken aback. The boy was willing to lie to the end that it was some other girl. He knew his mother's attitude to his private life and understood that she would forgive her son the traitor. But an affair with a servant girl she would certainly not accept. Someone told me about you. That can't be right. No one knew about it, but someone did know. Austin, are you still seeing her? Stay out of my personal life, I asked. And then he got a slap in the face. It's already my life because you're my son, and I'm not going to let you go out with a beggar. I don't have to carry the whole business on my back to give the money to the first chancer I meet. What makes you think she needs money? Because I know girls too well. She came to New York from the backwoods and worked in a rich house. You think she's with you for love? Don't be an idiot. She and I are in a very serious relationship. If you want to know, we even plan to get married. Over my dead body, Maria cried out. There will never be such a thing in my house. So, it won't be in your house. Don't threaten me. I know how used you are to having as much money as you need. You can't move into a small apartment. You can't work. Do you have any idea what it's like to live in a one-room apartment? If you're really in love, none of this matters. Really? What if I disinherit you? It doesn't scare me. Let's see if that scares your girlfriend. Maria stood up, letting him know that the conversation was over. Austin started the online game. The boy didn't want to spoil his relationship with his mother, but he was so in love with Nancy that he couldn't think straight. Now it seemed to him that for her sake he was capable of giving up any money and quarreling with his whole family. Nancy was, as usual, doing chores around the house. Austin's family had a huge house, and it took her at least an hour just to dust all the shelves. "Hi." Austin suddenly appeared from behind her. "God, how did you scare me?" Nancy shuddered. Sorry, I didn't mean to. You look so pretty when you clean up. That uniform really suits you." "Thank you, but I hope I don't have to wear it all my life." "Of course. After all, you're going to be my wife very soon." "Really? Have you changed your mind yet?" "I will never change my mind. You're the only girl I need." "Then let's go to City Hall." "We have to hurry. It's going to be a very nice date soon. Or we could get married on Valentine's Day." "Really, that's not soon. I also really like fall weddings. You can have a beautiful photo shoot. I don't care when. All that matters is that you become my wife." "Is that a suggestion?" "Yes. Do you agree?" "Where's the ring?" Nancy pouted her pretty lips. "I didn't have time to buy anything. I want a romantic proposal somewhere beautiful and with a huge diamond," laughed the girl. "But it doesn't matter. You might not care. But I want to get married once and for life. I want to have something to remember in my old age." "Okay, you're going to have a beautiful proposal." He hugged the girl and wanted to kiss her. "Not here. In case your mother comes in. I'm so tired of hiding from her." "Then solve the problem." Nancy kissed Austin on the nose and continued to clean up. How? Which one of us is the man, you or me? Get an apartment and let's live together." "Do you want me to move out of my mother's house?" "You're already 22 years old. That's a great age to start living alone, especially since you have enough money in your account to be completely independent. If I were you, I would have moved out a long time ago." "I thought about it too, but there was never the right time. And recently my mother and I had a fight, and I wondered if it was time." "Exactly. There couldn't be a better time. Let's get an apartment in Manhattan." Nancy put the rag aside and hugged Austin. "I want to live with a view of the city at night and take beautiful pictures. I'll talk to my mom, but I don't think she'll approve." "Why talk to her at all? Let's go right now." "What? You just want to run away?" Austin looked into his girlfriend's sparkling eyes and knew that now she was ready for any decisive step. "Would you agree to run away with me?" "I don't even know. But do you love me?" "I love you. I love you very much." "Then pack your things." Nancy said it like a challenge. It was her reckless nature that made Austin like her, compared to the boring, proper girls his mother had promised him, that made Nancy seem real and alive to him. Austin went to his room and left his things in his bag. At this time, his mother was sitting in the living room watching television. When her favorite show was on, she wouldn't have to worry about spending the next hour in front of the screen. "Are you ready?" Nancy whispered from the hallway. "I think I've got it all together." "Did you get the money?" "I have them on my map. Take some more cash in case we have to pay anonymously." "You're quite the expert in these matters." Austin laughed, and immediately thought that Nancy was indeed suspiciously detailed in their plan. "I have long dreamed of running away with you." They crept quietly to the exit, and Austin opened the door. The mother didn't seem to hear them. The young men got into the car, and Austin started the engine. "Wow, my heart is pounding like crazy," he said. "It's an adventure. You don't have to stay at home all your life under your mother's care. Let's go. We have to make some kind of arrangement for the apartment." "I've already booked everything." "When did you make it?" Austin looked at his girlfriend questioningly. This situation was beginning to bother him now. "While you were out there packing, I opened the website and picked out an apartment for us. I'll call the owner on the way, and we'll make arrangements." "So we're going straight to Manhattan," Nancy said cheerfully, and leaned back in her chair. This was the turning point in her life that she had waited so long for. When she arrived from her small town, she had decided that she was going to live posh in New York. For the first couple of months, she didn't get anywhere. She could not meet a decent man, did not know where there are decent restaurants, and certainly could not count on a high-paying job. And then miraculously she saw an advertisement for a wealthy house requiring maids. She was also fortunate that the landlady had a son her age, Austin, whom she could easily win over. Being a very pretty girl, she was used to male attention and knew exactly what she had to do to win it. She had worked in the house for 6 months and noticed that the owner's son was already crazy about her. It took Austin a long time to figure out how to approach Nasta. On the one hand, she spent every day at their house cleaning. But, on the other hand, how to find the words to ask her out. The second obstacle was Austin's girlfriend, Victoria. But that proved to be a bit of a problem. Nancy rigged it so that Victoria could see her and Austin kissing. Her calculation worked perfectly. Victoria became jealous, and she and Austin broke up. Now the rich son she had hunted for so long was driving Nancy in his expensive car into the life of her dreams. Victoria woke up next to her husband and looked fondly at his face. When he slept, he looked so defenseless that it made her cringe every time. They had been living together for a week now. She was still unaccustomed to the fact that she was now married. "Good morning," Spencer said, and opened his eyes. "Are you awake yet? I was just thinking of the best way to wake you up." "And what have you come up with?" "I hesitated between pouring cold water on you and playing loud music," Victoria laughed. "It turns out it's dangerous to fall asleep in the same bed with you." Spencer kissed his wife and stretched sleepily. "How long has it been?" "Wow, it's 7. If I don't get dressed now, the crew will leave without me, and I'll have to walk to the construction site." Spencer would do any kind of work on the farm. Plow a field, build a structure. He appreciated such opportunities to make good money. Now a crew was being assembled to help build a fence on the property of a very rich man not far from the farm. Spencer gladly joined them. "What are you going to do today?" he asked as he got dressed. "I have to help my grandmother in the vegetable garden. Then she and I will go to the farmer's market to sell vegetables." "Aren't you going to be late?" "Everyone will be gone by 12 o'clock. We'll make it with 10. "Damn," Austin said as he looked at his phone. Some crazy utility bill came in again. "How much is there in there?" "Much more than last month. This is so bad timing. I still have to pay for my mother's medicine, and my grandmother has to have a checkup." "That's okay. We'll take it easy for a while and do what we need to do." We were already terrified. We have almost all of our products from the garden. "It's okay. We can do it. You want me to get a job too." "Well, no. I'm a man, and I have to provide for my family. And you're a woman. It's your job to look after the house. These are some concepts from the Stone Age. Women can work too. It's not like I'm going to join you in construction. I can sew very well. I could have taken a job at home." "I didn't know that about you." Spencer sat down on the bed and wrapped his arms around his head. "Honestly, it would really help me if you could do that. I didn't want to tell you, but we're really having money problems. You'll just have to work for a couple of months, and then it's mowing, and that's where I can make some money." The guy moved over and put his arm around Victoria's shoulders. "Very soon you and I will have enough money. I promise you that I will do everything so that you will not need anything. I also promise that I will always help you. Don't you regret it?" Spencer looked Victoria in the eyes. About what?" "About moving in here with me. You're a very pretty girl, and you could have found any other guy in town. And for some reason you chose me, and you're probably already regretting it." "Not at all." She hugged her husband. "Where do you get that idea from anyway? Or maybe it was you who regretted bringing me to your house already. Why should I be the one to feel sorry?" "Well, you've led a regular bachelor life here, and now you have to take care of your family and think about earning money. Don't be silly. When we met, I didn't even think I had the slightest chance of going out with you. I dreamed of a girl like you, and I immediately thought how smart you were and how nice it was to talk to you. You see, you and I are made for each other. I'm going to call my aunt today and see if she can give me some orders from her atelier. How much do you have to make for the rent this month? Spencer showed the score. Wow, that's really a lot. I'll sew something in the evenings. Maybe I should get a stable job, one where I have to sit in an office all day and get paid. You can't stand it. You can't stay inside four walls. It also requires an education. I can get a job as a driver. Look, you have to work where you like. It's not like we're starving. In a pinch, my mother will help us. You're just a saint. The newlyweds kissed, and suddenly Spencer's mother entered the room and they recoiled from each other. Victoria, are you getting up or not? Oh, Spencer, still here. This is so embarrassing. I'm going. Mom, didn't they teach you to knock on the door? Sorry, I thought you were already at work. You still have to knock even if Victoria is here alone. Oh, I'll be right out, Clara. I'm getting dressed. The girl shouted after the woman, jumped out of bed, and quickly began to dress. Spencer finished work and went to shower with the other construction workers. Just then, the boss drove up and started handing out the money he had earned. Spencer got even more than he had been promised. He was very happy. Men, said the foreman, let's go have a beer. It's perfect after a day's work. I can't, Spencer declined the offer. Are you breaking away from the team? I still have things to do tonight. And you just got married. I guess your wife doesn't let you go to the bar with the men. She makes you go straight home after work, said the foreman, and the construction workers laughed. No, she doesn't control me. That's for now. In a couple of weeks, she'll start reading the correspondence in her phone and calling every 5 minutes. The men laughed again. Okay, I have to go. I do have things to do. Spencer pulled himself together and went to the bus stop to the disapproving murmur of his colleagues. He drove to the nearest village for 40 minutes. There he got out, took out his phone, and followed the navigator. Good afternoon, he said as he peeked into the roadside van of the mobile store. Hello, man. Would you like to buy something? A fat woman answered him from there. I'm actually on the ad. What ad? I didn't advertise. How so? It's your store that needs a salesman. Oh, you're on the job. Wait a minute. I'll be right out. The woman closed the window and soon appeared herself. She was dressed in a robe and had slippers on her feet. My name is Laura. It's a pleasure to meet you, Spencer. I want to know about the working conditions. And, conditions are the easiest. You work night after night. You get paid after each shift. The ad didn't say it was night job. I work here myself during the day. I don't live far from here. There are my 2 windows on the first floor, so I don't mind sitting here all day long. But it's hard at night, so I'm looking for overnight shifts. I don't even know. I have to think about it. What's there to think about? It's not a dull job. There aren't many visitors. Sometimes I even get to sleep. I live a long way from here, 60 miles away. Don't you have any day jobs? I have no other job for you. Make up your mind. Either you agree to it, or don't interfere with my trade. Well, then I agree. We have a young family. We really need the money. That's good. Your first shift is tonight. You come in and we'll sign your contract right away. What do you mean today? No, I can't do it today. I have to go warn my wife or she'll get worried. And I just got back from the construction site myself. See how I'm dressed. At least I need to change. Young man, Laura said irritably. But then why do you agree if you can't? It's up to you to decide what's more important, going home to change or staying and making money. The shift starts in half an hour. In half an hour. Spencer twirled the phone in his hands and pondered. Okay, I'll do it. I just need to call my wife and tell her I'm not coming home. I don't care what you do. As long as you come back here at 8 o'clock sharp and take your shift. Laura went back to the van and raised the window again. And don't stand there, blocking the customer's assortment. Spencer came home from the night shift. He tried not to make any noise so as not to wake his wife, but it was unnecessary. As he entered the house, he caught Victoria's puzzled gaze. "Good morning. Are you awake already?" he asked softly and kissed her. I couldn't sleep tonight." "Why? Are you afraid to sleep alone?" I was a little nervous. It's very unusual for you to work the night shift. I kept thinking something might happen." "Don't be silly. What can happen there? You never know what kind of drunk and inadequate people might come up at night." Victoria shrugged. "I don't think so. Alcohol is not sold there. All kinds of things happen. I read in the paper about an ice cream stand being robbed. That makes me nervous." "You shouldn't. I get paid decent money for that." "I have news for you, too." Victoria fidgeted in her seat with excitement. "Did you find your order?" "Yes, I did. I'm going to sew an evening dress. I've also been asked to mend a sweater. Congratulations. Work at your own pleasure. I don't force myself. I'll make sure you don't need anything." "Thank you. But that's not the news I wanted to share." "Did something happen?" "It happened. Anyway, I wasn't feeling well last night. And I think I'm pregnant," Victoria said, picking her words. She looked at her husband, not knowing how he would react. "Are you sure?" "No, I haven't done the test yet. But all indications are that it is." "So that's great." "Really? Would you be happy with a baby?" "Of course. I want to create a complete family. I would be happy with 2 or even 3 children." Not all at once," Victoria laughed. "I was so worried. I didn't know how to tell you. You and I were kind of planning on having kids, but not so fast, especially since we're in such tight circumstances right now." "What other circumstances?" "Well, with money. Don't make this up. We have a nice house. The child will be comfortable here. We'll figure out the rest somehow." As soon as Spencer finished speaking, the power went out in the house. The TV stopped working, and the microwave went out. They looked at each other, not knowing what to do. "Did you pay for the electricity?" Victoria asked reproachfully. "We were in debt. I've only paid for last month so far. But with my salary, I will pay it off in full." "Your paycheck won't be due for another month. And how do we live until then?" "I don't know." Spencer sank back in his chair and grimaced. "I really don't know how to make ends meet. Maybe I'll get paid soon." Victoria stroked her husband on the back. "Or ask my parents for a loan. We'll get out of it somehow. But don't worry. We have each other now, and that's the most important thing. I thought that as long as there are 2 of us, it's not such a big problem." "But what happens when the baby comes?" "What do you suggest? Not giving birth?" Victoria looked at her husband as if she had never seen him before in her life. "Of course, I won't suggest that you have an abortion unless you want one." "Well, you know." Victoria got up abruptly and went into the bedroom. She hoped so much that the first child would be a real joy in the family, that Mom and Dad would wait for him and love him. She didn't want the problems of everyday life to outweigh the happiness of having a firstborn, and she certainly wouldn't agree to an abortion for anything in the world. She hated the idea that a child could be a burden on their family. But the reality was this: there was no way they could provide a decent life for their daughter or son right now. Victoria sat down on her bed and cried softly. A few days later, Victoria was convinced that she was indeed pregnant. She and her husband went to the women's clinic, where the doctor examined her and determined that she was about 3 months pregnant. The doctor there also prescribed her a bunch of vitamins and recommended a strict diet and rest. On leaving the hospital, Victoria cried again. There was no way they would have had the money to follow all the doctor's recommendation, and not taking his advice meant risking baby's health. "Maybe we should take out a loan," Spencer suggested. "They won't give it to us." You and I do not meet the requirements of the bank, and how are we going to give it back? The main thing now is to solve the problem, and then we'll think of something. I'm so tired of everything being put off, Victoria sobbed and clung to her husband's shoulder. I have to go to work. He took her by the shoulders and pulled her away from him. It pained him very much to watch his beloved suffer, but he could do nothing. When are you coming back? Tomorrow morning. By the time you wake up, I'll be home. Okay. I don't like sleeping alone, but I understand that there is no other way out right now. Spencer kissed his wife and went to the bus. Victoria stood alone in the middle of the street, not knowing where to go, who to turn to. She needed moral support more than financial support. Suddenly she had the idea of visiting her mother. Her mother lived nearby. They saw each other often, but they did not have the warm relationship of mother and daughter. Now Victoria felt that more than anything, a mother's support would help her. She took the bus and drove a few stops. The door to the entryway creaked unpleasantly. The girl traveled several floors and knocked on the familiar door. Who's there? A voice came from the apartment. It's me, Victoria. Victoria, wait a minute. Something rustled behind the door, and soon her mother let the girl into the apartment. Hi, am I interrupting anything? Victoria asked politely. No, I just made myself some tea and wanted to watch a movie. Come into the room. Victoria's mother, Catherine, was a very thin woman for her age, and also very tall. She even liked to walk around the house in a dress, and she was always wearing eyeliner. When she was young, she dreamed of becoming an actress, but she had to give birth early, and her dreams did not come true. How are you doing, dear? My mother asked with interest. It's okay, Victoria lied. After all, she knew that Catherine was not interested in anyone's business but her own. I'm sorry I couldn't come to your wedding. I got sick. I know. It's no big deal. Did I miss something interesting? An ordinary wedding. Victoria understood why her mother hadn't come, but she didn't want to bring it up now. Catherine was over the moon when her daughter began dating Austin, and the day they broke up was a disaster. She wanted to become related to his family. She had had time to meet Maria and had visited once, where she had been amazed at the size of their private home. After their separation, her friendship with Austin's mother was also interrupted. Catherine had always wanted to get into high society, and this might have been her only chance. A chance, alas, missed. How is your husband? Catherine asked sarcastically. It's okay. Have you regretted it yet? What are you talking about? I can't get excited every day about the fact that he and I are family now. I see, said the mother dryly. She hated Spencer and was against their wedding. Going to the country house to celebrate such events was beneath her aesthetic taste. Mom, I'm here for a reason. I want to ask you something. That's how. So what is it? The thing is, we're having some problems right now, and we're desperately short of money. Maybe you could lend it to me. Well, my dear, you saw what kind of a man he is. Catherine leaned back in his chair with a look of satisfaction on his face. This is only for the first time. Why don't you make your husband work? Are you going to spend the rest of your life begging your relatives? He's already got a job, but he needs the money right now. What did you need money for so urgently? Take his grandmother to the doctor, Victoria said. She didn't want to tell her mother she was pregnant because she would not accept it and probably insist on an abortion. Why do I have to pay for his grandmother? It's not just that. We still have to pay the rent and live on something for a month. How are you going to pay me back? Of course I could give you money, but not forever, only on credit. I took a part-time job, and by the end of the month, you and I will be paid off. God, did you go to work after you got married? Do you even hear what you're saying? What's wrong with that? You live in the Stone Age, where women are not allowed to work and must be supported by men. I probably won't be able to give you anything right now. I'm a little strapped for cash myself. I came to you with a problem, hoping to get support from you, and all you do is mock me. Is that the kind of attitude you want when you go to your mother for help? I have no idea, Catherine replied indifferently. My mother was too busy with herself. She never had time for me. But you're not like that. I realize that I didn't live up to your expectations and didn't marry rich. So what now? To hell with the money. But are you gonna pretend I don't exist now? I don't do anything like that. I know that's not true. You weren't sick. You didn't come to my wedding because you didn't want to. I had a bad cold, Catherine cried out. I know you were out with your friend that day and you went shopping. You know. So distrustful of your mother that you're following her? Why don't you just admit that you lied to me? Just like you're lying now about not being able to give us the money. You're doing all this to spite me, just to punish me because I disobeyed you. You should have studied psychology since you're so perceptive. I don't have any money. That's true. Okay. Then can I stay at your place for the night? How's that? Have you already had a quarrel with your husband? And don't get your hopes up. It's just that he's working at night tonight, and I don't feel like sleeping alone. Oh, that's it, Catherine said disappointedly. I actually have plans for tonight. I wanted to go see a movie, and I was on my way out. I'm also going to a sleepover. I get it. Victoria got up and headed for the exit. I took the first step towards you, and you didn't back me up. I did everything I could. Now it's your turn. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a pity you don't need it. Victoria closed the door behind her. Catherine sighed heavily. She was very worried about her daughter. Victoria had to work a lot. In such a situation, it was out of the question to feel well and to have a proper daily regimen. One morning, she woke up with a tugging pain in her lower abdomen. Spencer had not yet returned from work, and she was so afraid that she decided to go to the city herself for a checkup. The bus took her to New York City. It took more than 2 hours to get there, but that was where the best medical center Victoria could afford was located. She got off the bus and suddenly felt faint. She had to sit down on the lawn next to the bus stop to recover. Suddenly, a luxury black car stopped next to her, and a beautiful, fashionably dressed young girl got out. You couldn't have parked farther from the store, she told her driver. There is no parking space. Have you seen my heels? How am I supposed to walk across the lawn from here? The girl stepped on the grass and immediately bogged down in it. Suddenly, she noticed Victoria sitting next to her and recoiled. Let's not go here, she said. Are you kidding me? We drove so long that you had to change your mind at the last minute? Let's go the other way. Please don't get wise. It's the closest. The man got out of the car and Victoria was horrified to see Austin. He suddenly noticed her too and stopped. All three of them looked at each other and didn't know how to react. Well, hello, said the girl. Looking closely, Victoria recognized her as Nancy. Only now she wasn't a humble maid, but a rich lady in an expensive outfit. I didn't expect to see you sitting on the ground, Nancy said with a smirk. It's good to see you too, Victoria replied. I can see that your life has gone downhill. To you, it seems. It's hard to think of success when you're like this and on the ground. I heard you got married. Out, Victoria chatted with Nancy without pleasure. She was all the more uncomfortable discussing her personal life with her. Is that what married life is like? The girl laughed. And you're still not getting married? Victoria quipped back. We're getting ready. Nancy took Austin under her arm. It's just that events like this don't get organized fast, do they, honey? We're in no hurry, Austin replied. Is there anything I can do to help you? Nancy asked with feigned sympathy and went through my pockets. I think I had some change. Do you think I'm asking for charity here? Sounds very much like you need it. Come on. Austin stopped his girlfriend. Really, Victoria, maybe you need some help. There's nothing wrong with me. I just got dizzy, so I sat down. Shall I take you to the hospital? That's where I was going. Victoria carefully got to her feet. So let's throw you off, Austin perked up. It's not far to walk, Victoria resisted. The prospect of riding in the same car with her ex and his girlfriend did not appeal to her. Get in the car. I'll give you a ride. Austin opened the back door in front of her, and the girl reluctantly agreed. Why are you going to the hospital if it's no secret? Nancy asked as they drove off. I have a routine checkup. Are you sick? There's nothing wrong with me. I told you, it's planned. It's just that if there's anything dangerous, you tell me. Nancy moved farther away. Maybe we shouldn't be in the same room. It's not contagious. I'm pregnant. Already. Congratulations, Nancy said with an unpleasant sneer. Well, how quickly did you make it? We didn't plan it that fast, it just happened. But we are very happy about it. It's a welcome baby. Yes, of course, we don't doubt it. Nancy elbowed Austin. Congratulations, he said indifferently. That building there is a hospital. Stop, please. Victoria pointed to a large white house. I'm going to pull into the parking lot and turn around. Every extra minute in this company was stressful for Victoria. She could almost physically feel the venom Nancy was exuding into her surroundings. Austin was very calm, but she sensed that he cared too. To her own surprise, Victoria saw no strong feelings in this couple. On the contrary, it seemed that Austin could barely tolerate his new girlfriend. Apparently, she'd had time to show her true nature in the meantime. Thank you. I'll get out here. Victoria opened the door and was relieved to breathe in the fresh air. It was nice to see you. Good day to you too, Nancy said and slammed the door behind her. Have you seen what she's become? Leave her alone. Bad luck for the man in his life, Austin said. After she broke up with you, her life went downhill. You must be happy to see your ex-girlfriend like that, huh? I'm not used to rejoicing in other people's misfortune. She also lies. She says she's happily married and she wanted this baby. If I were her, I would be so hysterical to my husband if a pregnant woman had to take a bus to the hospital. I don't know what could have happened to her on the way. No, it's still important to have a reliable man by your side. You know best, Austin said, ignoring her compliment. Now, let's finally go about our business. I'm going to turn around now. He carefully backed up, alternately looking in all the mirrors. Nancy pulled out her phone and began to tell all her friends what had happened. Austin was silent. The image of Victoria stood before him, awakening in him memories of his former relationship. Spencer, as usual, left for his night shift and Victoria stayed home alone. Spencer's grandmother had gone to the hospital and his mother had gone to visit a neighbor, bored in front of the TV for a while. Victoria decided she'd better get busy and got to work on the sewing machine. She thought she heard a knock on the window. She looked out and peered into the twilight. When she did not see anyone, she went back to sewing. After a while, she heard the knocking again. From the sound of it, someone was throwing pebbles at her window. In her school days, that was how the boys had challenged the girls to go outside. Victoria smiled at her memories. Hardly anyone wanted to date with her now. But the strange sound continued. She couldn't stand it and came out of the house. Someone rustled in the bushes near the front garden. Victoria! A man's voice was heard from over there. Who's there? The girl was frightened. It's me, Austin. What are you doing here? She asked in surprise. Can you come any closer? I'm afraid someone will notice me. Come out of there, no one will see you. Look how dark it is around here. This isn't the city. Austin climbed out of the bushes and shook himself off. Victoria couldn't contain her laughter when she saw that his black suit was now covered in green leaves. They sat down on a bench outside the house. So, this is where you live now? The boy asked. Yes, this is my husband's house. It looks good. Fresh air, after all. Do you live here with his parents? That's the way it is here, Victoria said. They're very nice people. I have nothing to complain about. Don't you miss the city? I have no time to be bored. Do you know how much work there is? I can imagine. How is your life in general? How's your relationship with your new husband? Why do you need to know that? I was just curious, so I asked. Austin looked at his fingers, not knowing where to put his eyes. What about your personal life with Nancy? So Austin admitted honestly. She wasn't the girl she pretended to be when she worked here. I thought she was honest and bright, but she was mean and mercenary. There you go. So you're not happy with her either. It was a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. When she started to humiliate you there at the bus stop, I could hardly stop myself from leaving her. When we drove home, I kept thinking about you, how you were alone there in the hospital. You must have been scared, and I should have stayed with you. There's nothing to be afraid of. They told me the good news. There was nothing wrong with the baby's health. So I came out of there in a great mood, even though your girlfriend was really trying to ruin it. I'm sorry. I don't know what got into me that day, When did I catch you kissing Nancy? Yeah, but she started seducing me and I lost control. I'm really sorry about that. I've been through it all for a long time now. Victoria patted her former young man on the shoulder, but he only shook his head. No, it's important because of such a little thing I lost the greatest love of my life. He looked sadly at Victoria. What? The girl, stunned by his confession, did not know what to answer. I still love you, Austin said almost in a whisper. Yeah, Victoria didn't know what to say to that. I loved you very much back then, too. The betrayal hurt me a lot. But after I caught you, it was like something broke inside me. And now I don't feel anything for you. You are like a friend to me, no more than that. I understand. I wouldn't forgive either if I were you. Austin stood up and pulled his backpack out of the bushes, which made Victoria smile again. I apologize for the intrusion. You won't see me here again. Thank you for coming. I hope you feel better after what you've said. You understand me too, and don't be offended. I'm a married woman now, and I love my husband. Austin nodded and walked toward the woods. He left his car there so none of the locals would see it. Victoria sensed that he was genuinely interested in her. Perhaps for the first time since they had met, she felt needed. But it was too late. Spencer came home at night. He arrived on the last bus and was home around midnight. His family greeted him with questions. Why are you here so early? You were supposed to be on shift by now. I got in trouble at work, Spencer said, and went into the bedroom. Are you home? Victoria was surprised to see him. Despite the late hour, the girl was awake, finishing her work. Can you imagine? I arrive at the store as usual by 8 o'clock and there's nobody there and the whole van is trashed? How so? What do you mean defeated? There's not a living thing on it. All the windows are broken. The goods are scattered around. I can't even guess who would want to rob it. And the money. Did they take it? We don't leave money in the cash register during the shift change. And no merchandise was stolen either. I didn't check, but if they did, they didn't steal much at all. Are you saying that someone trashed the store and didn't take anything of value? It turns out that it was. I wonder who could have come up with such an idea. Who knows, just some drunk guys walking by decided to trash something for fun. And there's our van nearby. Don't you think it's strange to ruin something for no reason? It seems, but people can be very strange. I need to let Laura know what happened, and I still haven't been able to reach her. I hope she's okay. Spencer pulled out his phone and tried several times to call. Finally, Laura picked up the phone. Yes. Laura. Thank God you're all right, Spencer said. What should be wrong with me? Did you see what was done to the store? Of course I did. I even saw who did it. I'm with the police right now. How nice, and I didn't know what to do anymore. So who were these bullies? Are they going to get caught? Most likely, only it wasn't the hooligans. It was one man. He was so decent he drove up in a nice car. Too bad I didn't have time to write down the license plate number. Then they would have caught him right away. Do you remember what he looked like? You bet. I described him to the cops in great detail. I thought he was drunk or on drugs. He came up to me just as I was closing the door and asked me, "When are you coming?" I said 20 minutes. I thought he was your friend, but he said he didn't know you personally. I don't get it. No one I know could do such a thing. And why would he want to do that? I don't know that one. He just made sure you were coming, took a rock, and started smashing windows. All I had time to do was run away and hide behind the store. As luck would have it, there were no witnesses around, just me. Well, then I'm glad he's going to get caught. Thank God you're all right. Spencer hung up the phone and recounted the entire conversation to Victoria. She immediately went pale because she guessed who it might be. Did she say what kind of car it was? As if inadvertently, the girl asked. No, she didn't tell me, but the police will probably find her. And you didn't describe the man? No, I don't think we know him. I only wonder why he asked about me. Could it be some secret detractor who's getting back at me for something? Maybe so. Victoria was already starting to get visibly worried. She regretted telling Austin about her happy family life. He was probably jealous and decided to take revenge. She didn't know how to tell her husband and decided to just wait to see what the police had to say. Victoria stood on the threshold of a huge luxury house and rang the doorbell. A young, unfamiliar girl in a maid's uniform answered it. She must have been hired after Nancy began dating Austin. Good afternoon. How can I help you? She asked me politely. I need to talk to Austin. He doesn't live here. How? Victoria did not expect such a turn of events. She had come a long way from the village to warn her former young man and talk to him. But she didn't think he had moved out of the house. He hasn't lived here for a long time. Who are you to him? How should I put it? Let her into the house, Maria said, suddenly appearing in the hall. The girl opened the door wider and invited Victoria in. Good afternoon. This is awkward. I actually wanted to talk to your son. Victoria decided to explain the reason for her visit. I'd like to talk to him too, said the hostess grimly. They went into the living room and sat down on padded couches. Maybe you can give me his address. I need to see him very urgently. I'd gladly give it to him if I had it. Maria poured coffee into the 2 porcelain cups on the table. He left me to live with his girlfriend. How come? You're his mother and you don't know where he lives? Honestly, I never thought I'd have to track down my own son myself. Do you have his phone number? I call the old one, but some stranger answers me. No, I don't have a number or an address. There was a son, and now there is no son. The only connection I have with him is his bank card on which I put money every month, and he spends it. Wow, to be honest, I've seen Austin recently, Victoria said. Despite the long-standing feud, the girl suddenly felt sympathy for this unfortunate woman. Oh, yes. And where did you meet him? He and I saw each other by chance. He was with Nancy. If you're worried about his condition, he's fine. And so is she. It's Nancy I'm worried about the least. I was angry with her too at first, but then I saw her as just an unhappy girl trying to get on in life. I don't have good news for you. I wanted to warn Austin that the police are looking for him. What for? Maria clutched at her heart. He trashed the store where my husband works, and the police know what his car looks like, and so does he. So he'd better come and turn himself in. My God, how stupid had he become? And why did he have to do that? Wasn't he satisfied with the money I was giving him? He didn't do it for the money, he did it out of revenge. I don't understand. Why should he take revenge on you? After all, it's his fault for the situation. I don't think he's able to think rationally right now. Well, that's all I wanted to say. If you really can't help me find Austin, I won't take up any more of your time. Victoria got up and was about to go when suddenly Maria took her hand in a friendly way. Stay. Come on, let's sit and talk, said the hostess, almost belittlingly. I'd love to, but I have a bus. I'll call you a cab. It will be much more convenient than taking the bus, and it will take you right home. Please sit with me. That's good. I wish we had been friends before. I always thought you were a strong woman. I wanted to be like you, but I don't have that character. I could never run a business on my own. My darling. And I was looking at you and thinking, why wasn't I like that when I was young? You're not afraid of anything. You tell it like it is. I thought you were strong. They got upset and hugged each other. Let's have a drink with you. I've got a bottle of red wine here, Maria suggested, and went over to the bar. Sorry, but I can't drink. Why is that? I'm pregnant. It can't be, Maria exclaimed happily, but then suddenly became sad. It could have been my grandson. You know, Victoria hesitated, this is your grandson. How? But are you sure? I'm sure. I tell everyone it's 2 months old, but it's actually 3. That's your son's baby. That's what I wanted to tell him. Does your husband know? No, he doesn't need to know that. He's a good man trying to take care of me. I don't want to hang my past mistakes on him. But you will let me communicate with your grandson, won't you? Sure. I don't know how to present this to Spencer yet, though. Wait. Maria took a credit card out of her wallet and handed it to Victoria. I want to help your family financially, too. From now on, I stop giving money to my son until he comes to his senses and gets back on his feet. That's it, I'm done sponsoring his binge. Watching lifestyle. Now I'm gonna help those who need it and who I really have to help. Thank you. But Victoria wanted to refuse out of politeness, but they were so short of money, and she lacked her mother's care so much that she just cried and threw herself on Maria's neck. 6 months later, Austin was picking Victoria up from the maternity hospital. He had recently gone to court and got off with a big fine for breaking a mini mart. But that was the least of his worries. Austin, once he found out from his mother that Victoria was pregnant by him, immediately broke up with Nancy. And Victoria, too, couldn't hide from Spencer that she wasn't carrying his child, and they had to divorce. There was a lot of gossip in the neighborhood, but gradually everything settled down. Austin and Victoria soon married after the girl's divorce and lived happily ever after. Maria was happy too. The children now lived with her, and she took care of her beloved granddaughter Mary, named after her grandmother. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel. Like it, write comments if you like the story, and see you on the channel.